welcome back to the From the Nosebleeds podcast, season 3, episode 35. Here as usual to preview week 13 in the NFL. Thomas Pocrnic, Thomas Coburn, and of course producer Paolo Gismondi. Coburn, what's going on?
Nothing much. Winding down school for. I feel like I say we're winding down school every week, but like now it's kind of for real.
Talk about your Lions, maybe. They're red hot as of late.
It's been. We'll get to the game. I think we win this weekend. A little sneak peek. I think this is the win.
How many weeks have you said that?
To be fair, I think only 2.
No, you know, maybe it's me that keeps saying.
You keep saying they're going to win. I've only said they were going to win. What game was it? Let's go back a week. Oh, I thought they were going to beat the Bears. No, the Bears. I thought they were going to beat the Bears.
Okay, that was last week. No.
Yeah.
They should have won that game. What a treat though to have that on Thanksgiving.
It was a terrible game, but
so the Twitter warriors are begging the NFL to take them off Thanksgiving. I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Don't ruin tradition.
Fair enough. I agree with you, and the Lions, they'll be back soon enough. The sun will shine again in Detroit, so we'll say that.
Will it?
But it's week 13 in the NFL.
You're fresh off a 3-1 week, though. You almost.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because, man, was I ever close. I cannot believe – I didn't tell you the game I got wrong. Those Seattle Seahawks, are you kidding me? You can't pull off a win on Monday Night Football with Russell Wilson back against the Washington football team? I was so close to my third 4-0 week of the season, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
We talk about, how many – it's maybe your favorite saying, QB 32.
Yes.
How about we go RB 75, Alex Collins?
It's just whoever's around. I mean, I guess when Chris Carson's healthy, he's actually pretty good. But yeah, it's just such a disaster. One of the worst games I've ever watched. Actually, both primetime games. We've been treated all year with primetime games. The Sunday Night Football was terrible. Monday Night Football was terrible until the dramatic ending. And shame on the refs. Shame on you, the referees, for calling that penalty to avoid the onside kick from being recovered. I'm starting to think that ref faded my spread picks and didn't want to go 0-4.
It's a little illegal.
I know, but this is my standpoint on it. I feel like that happens on every single kickoff, and they just chose to call it at that time.
Even if it isn't like it doesn't happen on every kickoff, like it didn't affect the play.
Exactly.
It's an onside. It's already hard enough. There should be like an exception in the rule book. It is what it is. And then who just got lit up on the next onside kick? Or was that a different game? Somebody got. I don't even know.
We go again this week.
We're in the past.
Spread picks, looking for another 4-0 week. But we're gonna go through the games first before we get to the spread picks as usual. Starting with Sunday, we'll start with the Cardinals going into Chicago. Kyler Murray. We hope he's back. They just come off bye. You got to think he's back. It still seems like it's not 100%, but we're going to talk about it as if he's playing. It's a 7.5 spread for the Cardinals. They should handle this one.
Well, you said we're going to act like Kyler's playing. It actually doesn't matter if Kyler's playing, really.
I mean, you got to think if he doesn't suit up, maybe they drop the spread.
Well, they dropped the spread. I think the win and loss doesn't really change. The Bears are – I don't know how Nagy's not fired. I guess it's like illegal to kind of fire a coach.
On national television on Thanksgiving. What are you talking about?
You can't fire a coach after a win, but if you could, that would have been that game against the Lions. Yeah, it's a 7.5 spread. Honestly, even if Kyler plays, like, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure they cover that. It's pretty tough on the road in Chicago, even though Chicago's a terrible team. But I don't see a way the Bears come out of this with a win. I don't care who's playing quarterback. Colt McCoy has looked more than serviceable. Is Hopkins back? Once again, it feels like the Cardinals are just like good enough to kind of just move along even with all these injuries. So it's kind of just bonus if they get Hopkins and Kyler back the same week. If they do, I think maybe it's a blowout, but I don't know. The Cardinals handle their business. There's no way.
Yeah, and I don't even know who's playing quarterback on the other side for the Bears. Justin Fields questionable with ribs. Who knows if he's going to be able to go? But regardless, this is a game. Doesn't matter who's playing for either team. The Cardinals are just better. They got the better 53. Last week was a bit of a treat. We had so many games. I think we had 0 double-digit spreads last week. We had so many close games. I'm already just scrolling through here. I think we got 3 double digits, a bunch of 9s, a lot of 7.5s. So I don't know. This week's maybe we'll see a couple more blowouts, but we got the Eagles and the Jets next. Those Eagles, after we were talking about, I'm gonna have to buy a Jalen Hurts jersey if they win the division. That was the bet you and I made. I don't need any Jalen Hurts jersey in my cart. I think even though the Cowboys lost, they completely shot themselves in the foot last week.
I take full responsibility for Jalen Hurts' struggles. I traded for him in fantasy, so that should have been expected. As soon as I trade for him, maybe the Eagles, maybe they lose this game too. I don't know, but this is not exactly the best game of the week here. I think it'll be interesting. The one I
won't be watching.
Fair enough.
And I'm ready to say that without even looking at the rest.
The one storyline though is it will be interesting. What's the bounce back like for Jalen Hurts? You mentioned the division. Yeah, pretty much the slim chance that you lost that last week. But hey, with the extra wild card spot, you're still in it. Like, I mean, Washington's in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, the NFC is a disaster.
Well, it's top heavy.
It's top heavy. The AFC is the complete opposite. It's not top heavy, but it's got a ton of good teams. The NFC, a bad team is going to make the playoffs.
Right. And if you're the Eagles, why can't that bad team be?
Exactly.
So it's a big game.
They have the Jets. They have the Giants one more time. They got Washington twice, and they have the Cowboys. So this is a must win on the road. Going up against Zach Wilson. Darius Slay's got to be licking his chops, maybe coming away with a couple interceptions. I'm going to change. I am going to watch a little bit because I want to see for fantasy reasons how many times Miles Sanders actually gets to touch the ball.
3, maybe.
Probably, but he'll get at least 45 yards on those carries. This guy's money with the yards per attempt. But we'll move on here. We got a double-digiter. The Colts going into Houston. Houston coming off a game where you picked them last week, and they didn't cover.
Tyrod Taylor. I mean, that...
It's the Tyrod Taylor cycle. It's like, oh, this guy can be a starter. And then...
Just when you think he's good, it's like, oh, okay, oh boy.
Yeah.
He threw a nice touchdown to Brandon Cooks. Other than that, wasn't exactly the greatest showing from him. Maybe I was right about the Colts all along. I think maybe my early season prediction, I think it looked shaky, but hey, I think they're coming for blood in this game. I think they still have. So what are the Titans at right now? What's their record?
They're 2 games back.
And they still play them one more time?
They're 8-4 and they're 6-6. I don't know. The Titans are just the most disheartening 8-4 team I've ever seen in my life. Like if they lose out, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a disaster right now.
Well, and we talk about the weak NFC wildcard team. The Colts are going to win this game, no doubt in my mind. But that's a wildcard team. If you're a division winner, you don't want to play those Colts.
Yeah,
I don't care what team. Really, I don't care what team you are in the AFC. There's no team that's in my head great enough to be like, we'll handle whoever our first round opponent is. That's a scary team. I don't care if you're the Chiefs.
They kept their trend going. They're 6-0 when Jonathan Taylor has over 100 yards, 0-6 when he does not. That's 100 yards on the ground, not 100 yards total. That's the recipe right here. I think Taylor goes for over 100 this week against a weak Texans run D, and I think the Colts win. I don't know about that -10, but I think they win. We'll move on to maybe at least the game of the 1 o'clocks, and that's the Chargers against the Bengals. Joey B going up against Justin Herbert, 2 of the best quarterbacks, or 2 of the best quarterbacks from the 2020 draft class. That was tough for me to say, if I'm being honest. But they're going head-to-head for the first time ever, I believe. Bengals are red hot right now. The Chargers are a team that they just seem so inconsistent. No one really knows what to expect from them from week to week. But Bengals, 3-point favorites at home.
Like, look at this is the Chargers last month. Ready? The win against the Eagles, then the disappointing loss against the Vikings, then the win against the Steelers, and then the disappointing loss against the Broncos. It is literally week to week. I mean, I was going to say you have no idea what you're going to get, but you kind of do. It's just the opposite of what you got last week.
Yeah.
So
they're winning this week.
I'm leaning that way. Yeah. You kind of got embarrassed. The Broncos just flat out beat them last week. It was back in the 4 o'clock spot, like we mentioned. The Broncos took care of business. I kind of like the Chargers on the road to pull off an upset here. The Bengals are really hot. I get it. They've been playing really well. Joe Mixon is, I mean, how many running backs can you say are definitively better than him? Not many. The offense as a whole is looking great. T. Higgins had a huge game last week. But yeah, it's just that week-to-week Chargers. I think they play great because they played awful last week. It's on the road, yeah, but I think it'll be a shootout. The over's at 50. I kind of like that over. Maybe it's a trap, but I like the Chargers to pull off the upset on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have been a little bit inconsistent too as well. They lost to the Jets earlier in the season and they lost big to the Browns. So they've kind of followed that up with a little hot streak recently. I think we're going to see the best football from both of these teams. As inconsistent as both of them have been at times, it's a lot on line when two guys from the same draft class that have both had amazing starts to their career battle it out. And I do think it's going to be pretty high scoring. Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert, obviously, who can get the ball in the end zone more. It's going to be really interesting, and I don't know. It's one of those games where you can go back and forth so much, and because the Chargers are +3, you might want to take a jab at that. But like I said, game of the 1 o'clocks for sure. But we'll go on to the Bucks against the Falcons. This just like we all know what Tom Brady does to the Falcons.
Well, the now Super Bowl favorite Buccaneers. You realize this?
Are they Super Bowl favorites?
They are betting odd favorites. Yep.
I know Brady's the MVP favorite now, which is interesting. I mean, you could probably make a case
it's
for
a pretty ho-hum MVP year.
There's no leader at all. Like it's
too
it's
bad Derrick Henry didn't happen.
Whoever has the best week 18 is going to win MVP.
Or just the best record.
16, 17, 18. The last 3 weeks of the season, that's who's going to win the MVP.
And I don't see a way that Kyler gets it because they played so well without him. Like they come back. Let's say they still lock up. I mean, he has to come
unless
back.
He comes back and just dominates.
Plays terrific. But
can I give you my sleeper pick for MVP?
Yeah. Super Bowl pick?
No, my sleeper pick for MVP.
Who?
Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to win it this year. I'm not even lying. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP.
Is it a sleeper pick though? It's Mahomes. Can he ever really be a sleeper?
Well, if you said 5 weeks ago Mahomes was going to win the MVP, I think it's a bit of a sleeper.
That's fair. What about Jonathan Taylor?
He needs to run. It's too the expectation. What you have to do as a running back is just too tall of a task. I think he's had a great season. He'll probably win Offensive Player of the Year, but MVP, it's such a quarterback award. It's honestly ridiculous. He should win MVP.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a shame. If Derrick Henry did what he did last year, this year, I think that it would have been the running back MVP year, but that was the luck on Derrick Henry there.
Well, that's our analysis on Bucks Falcons.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the game. Moving right on.
Your Lions, they got a home game. They're 7-point underdogs at home. They almost won. They should have won in Minnesota with that field goal.
Like I said, I think this is the game they win.
It would be ultimate Vikings to lose this game. Because
they're kind of, as hot as they look, they kind of just faltered a bit. Again, we'll get to the 49ers in a second, my favorite team in the NFL right now. The 49ers beat them. I just think this is, I don't know. The Lions played them so tough last time they played. Now we have, Josh Reynolds, wide receiver 1 on this line.
What about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
He'll be
Quintez. Is it Quintez
Cephas? He's out. He's still hurt. No? Yeah. The wide receiver core, Khalif Raymond. Can I interest you in him?
I know what that is.
Yeah, pretty solid. But I don't know. We played him tough last time. I don't think this team, they've been too close too many times to go winless. They're going to have to get a win somewhere.
They are.
And it's going to be a win that nobody's really calling. Like they play the Falcons, I think.
Maybe everyone's on that Falcons game. Even the Broncos next week too. Just only because it's in Denver.
Yeah, they'll get blown out in both those games, but this is the game. This is the game that they win. With Swift out, nobody's giving them a shot.
That's true too. That makes it a even more appealing case for an absolute upset win. I don't know. It's so hard because I've done it so many times. I'm not going to comment because
we've never picked them both to win in a week. Pick them. This is the thing.
The thing is the Vikings lost last week, and I think the Vikings are the Chargers of the NFC, whereas they're just super inconsistent. And because they lost, I think they're going to get their act together and they're going to bounce back. And they're not going to get an easier game all season than what they have in front of them. And they should be in the playoffs with the talent that they have. So they have to win this game.
You're underlooking one player, and it's pretty easy for you to overlook him, because most people don't even probably know who he is. Jamar Jefferson.
Is that your running back?
Yeah, he's going to be running the ball with Jamal Williams. He has 4 carries on the season, 2 touchdowns.
You have another player. I don't know if he's a fullback or a running back. I think it starts with an O, his last name. And the little I've watched the Lions this year, he's ripped off some pretty big carries. I think he had like a 40-yard touchdown on the ground.
Starts with an O?
I feel like this could be totally out of left field. I could be wrong.
I'm pulling up their team.
I'm pretty confident that you have a player rushing. It starts with an I. Igwebuike. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah. Okay,
Is he not going to get any touches this week? This guy's money, man.
No, it's Jamar Jefferson. They drafted him this year. You watch. He's gonna have a big day.
I want to read you the stats of my guy to make his case. 6 attempts, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. He's averaging 14 yards a carry. I rest my case. But we got 1 o'clock game left. That's my Dolphins going up against the Giants. Hard to find a hotter team in the NFL right now than these Dolphins. Daniel Jones is very much, his status is up in the air. Originally, yesterday they said Mike Glennon's going to play. Today it's like, oh, maybe Jones will play, maybe not. 4-point favorites. They opened at 2.5 Miami. Now they're 4-point favorites. I as always, because we all know my take, I'd like to hear your take on this game.
Well, last week I was right, and I think you were right too. The most disrespectful line of the week.
Yes.
Did you say it opened at 2.5?
Yes, it did.
Once again, I think the 4 is okay. I'm not going to say
okay because I think this might be a trap game. Like Miami can't look like, I've said it all along, 1 game at a time, guys. 1 game at a time. We have a very easy schedule, and I'm not going to push the excitement button until we get to 7-7. We need to win 2 more games to do that. Giants and the Jets.
Well, there's no worries. You're going to take care of the Giants. The Giants are just what a disaster. They won last week.
I don't want to jinx it.
They won last week, but they were wearing their throwback uniform. So that's you can't account for that. As long as they don't wear the
throwback week for Miami, actually.
As long as the Giants don't break out those throwback white uniforms, because they might be the best team in the league if they wear those. As long as they don't, Miami takes care of business.
I hope you're right. I really do. Again, I'm too nervous to even make any statements because I don't want it to come back and bite me. But I'm feeling pretty good. But we'll move on to the 4 o'clocks. This is ultimate bounce back spot for the Rams. They need this game. This game couldn't have come at a better time. They got the Jaguars at home. They're 13-point favorites.
Let's not even talk about the game. So the Rams are going to win. Agreed?
Yes.
All right. Now we can talk about the fact that you mentioned it maybe a week ago, but I'm in your head about Stafford.
Why am I on record of
the big games? The big games. I told you can't win the big games.
You did tell me that, and I've sort of started to think that. I will say this though, I think his record of 9-70 against teams with a winning record is an absolute unfair stat that can't be pinned. This guy played for no disrespect. This guy played for the Lions for his entire career. What do you want him to have, a winning record against teams above 500? I think maybe 5 quarterbacks in NFL history have a winning record against teams above 500.
Okay, you don't have to have a winning record.
A little more respectable.
If you're that guy, meaning, you're that legit stud star quarterback, you pull out wins. He doesn't win games he's not supposed to win.
I know, but you also have to look at the Lions now. That's what he was dealing with. I know they weren't always that bad. You had years of 9-7, 7-9 and you can get to 7-9 in the end, or 9-7 by just beating up on bad teams. There's a lot of bad teams in this league.
Last year they made the playoffs.
That's why that's your case.
The last year they made the playoffs, they were 9-7 and they were 1-5 against teams over 500.
I don't know what to tell you. I still think he's really, really good, and I'm sure you do too. And
of course, yeah.
You know him better than me. So I guess that's your argument. That's the knock on him, and that's not a good thing to have. The reason I was when he beat Brady in I think week 4, that's when I was this is it. He's turned the leaf. The Rams are the Super Bowl favorites. Now they've built this super team, and it's just not working out. But like I said, I didn't give up on the Chiefs when they hit a bump in the road. I'm not giving up on the Rams now. They are still my picks to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, it's just not going to happen. But that's good that you stick to your guns.
Stick to my guns. Yeah, I picked them in March, and I'm going to stick with it. Will I be wrong? Probably. I think the Packers are really strong. But 13-point favorites, not a lot to say. We'll go on to Raiders and football team. Now, this is a little unfair, but I'm gonna nominate this for the game I'm not watching. I mean, I don't think that these two teams were terrible, but it's just there's better
4 o'clock.
content on at 4:00.
Agreed. I mean, but at a certain point, you got to start paying attention to the NFC East champs.
Oh boy.
Do you know what I mean?
You're so hot and cold. Actually, you know what? You need to stay away from this division completely. Every single one of your takes that involves the NFC East has just completely gone sideways.
Every team I've talked about, they've tanked. Giants at the beginning of the season, Cowboys before the Chiefs game. Look at them since.
Now the Eagles last week.
Eagles, but now I'm on Washington.
So we're slamming the Raiders 2.5 this week, which is good to know. We'll go into a game that I think in past years, if this is lined up at your 425 slot, it's the most exciting thing in the world. Ravens and Steelers, such a historic matchup, and it just doesn't have the same pizzazz that it once, is that a word? That it once had.
Yeah. If Lamar doesn't get it together, that's the worst division leader in football, like no questions asked.
No. What about your Titans? That's a perfect opportunity for you to.
By the end of the season, I'll say, because the Colts are going to win that division. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, was there an uglier game of football last week?
No, really? That's the worst football game I've ever watched in my life. No. You know what? It rivals. I think it was week 2 a couple of years ago. The Panthers played the Bucks, and it was Cam versus Jameis.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember that game. And also, and this is another one you'll definitely remember, Vikings Bears last year, Monday Night Football. I think it was Nick Foles. Must have been Kirk Cousins.
That was a classic, though. That's a classic. I love that game.
That was
my
favorite classic, game of the year. Like bad game.
Yeah. The Steelers suck, though. So I think the Ravens, that's a 4.5 spread. I don't care if it's on the road. I think they're going to cover it. The Steelers are terrible.
You think the Ravens are going to cover? I mean, you got to think Lamar bounces back. It's 4 interceptions. Say what you want about his ability as a passer. That's not something he does. Even before, he never turned the ball over. I do think they're going to bounce back. The Steelers, like, do I want to say like I was right all along? Because I kind of sniffed them out as fool's gold early, but then they showed me enough to be like, they're gonna finish with a winning record, but just barely. And now
you kind of sniffed them out at 11-0 last year. I'll give you credit there.
But at the same time, when they were like 3-0 last year, I was like, this is the best team in the NFL, and they're unstoppable. So I don't know. It's so concerning watching them.
I mean, the quarterback, it's over.
They won't push Ben out though. Like if he wants to go next year, they say, all right, Ben, let's go.
They're going to run him back out there.
Yeah.
They gotta, it's time, Ben. It's, legend, first ballot Hall of Famer, your career's done. So not everybody's Brady.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Deshaun under center next year. He's either going there or Carolina. And if they have Deshaun, they would be dangerous. But I think I'm going to agree with you that the Ravens are bringing it home. I'm guessing this is your favorite game of the week. Your 49ers going up against the Seahawks. The 49ers look like they did the year that they went to the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, best run game in the NFL, probably the best offensive line in the NFL. Jimmy's not being asked to do a whole lot, and he's excelling. The only problem is Deebo Samuel is now gone down with an injury.
Yeah. Well, we know my history with Deebo Samuel.
Yes.
If Deebo comes back, like this is how high I am on the 49ers. If Deebo was playing and healthy and the playoffs started today, I think the 49ers represent the NFC. I think they're the best team.
Represent the NFC?
I think they're going to it's clicking. It's finally clicking.
It is. But I think,
and here's the thing: I think the other best teime is the Packers. And yes, the Packers.
Yeah,
beat
but you're
them
forgetting
early.
about the Bucks here, and this is uncharacteristic for me to credit the Bucks and for you to not. I think I've learned my lesson going up against Brady in the playoffs. Like, who's going to knock this guy down? Yeah, I think the Packers are the best team too, but.
Well, you're right. Listen, if the Bucks play the 49ers, obviously the 49ers need to run the ball basically to have success, and it's almost impossible to run the ball against the Bucks. So that's easily the worst matchup. But if they were, I just think they're one of the I think they're definitively a better team than the Cowboys. Like, no doubt in my mind. And I think they're definitely better than the Rams. I think they're part of the big four in the NFC.
I don't know. I really like them, and I like the way they play. But when push comes to shove, you need a quarterback that can get it done. And what all the big, in what I consider to be the big five, has in common in the NFC is they all have elite quarterbacks: Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. And I have confidence in those guys getting it done late. Whereas the year that the 49ers won the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 10 times in the NFC Championship, and they absolutely steamrolled the Packers because they could run the ball like they can now. But I also think their defense isn't as good as it used to be a couple years ago. I don't think so.
I mean, sure, it's still really good though.
It's a good defense. Yeah, it's a top unit, but I don't know, against the big boys. Like, I think they have the recipe to maybe make some noise in the playoffs. But I get it. You know what? I don't mind the take.
All right, at least give them the Colts of you don't want to play them. Nobody wants to see the 49ers.
No shot. Okay. I'd rather play the Rams. I'd probably rather, like, if you talk wildcard teams, I'd probably rather play the Rams before I'd rather play them.
There you go. Okay, so do you think the 49ers are better than the Rams now that you just made that statement?
We watched them mop the floor with them on primetime a couple weeks ago.
My point.
But going back to my take from March that I'm not giving up on yet, I'm still confident that the Rams are going to get it together. Right now, yeah, give me the 49ers. But when January and February rolls around, I think the Rams are going to get into a groove like we saw them early on, where it's just Matthew Stafford throwing the ball and nobody can stop them.
$25 wins $1,000 for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I'm just laying that out there.
Put it down. Put it down if you're feeling confident.
Also, now that I said this, they'll lose by 12 against the Seahawks this weekend. So that's just the way it goes.
It is.
I don't know what else to say.
Especially because the Seahawks, everyone's down on them right now. So this is when they win, just to give Pete Carroll a little more confidence that he can be the head coach next year. Quick note about this. I think this was the Sunday night game, because the Sunday night game that we're going to talk about now, the Broncos and Chiefs, got flexed to Sunday Night Football. And I believe it replaced this game.
To me, that's a bit of a mistake.
No, it is 100%. I don't want to watch the Broncos on Sunday Night Football. I don't even want to watch the Broncos at 4:00.
That's true. I never want to watch the Broncos. But it might be the uniform matchup of the week.
It is the uniform matchup of the week, yes.
Actually, no, it's not. Sorry. It's not. I'll reveal it at the end. I forgot a different game that I like better.
But yeah, not a whole lot to say in this one. The only thing is it's like that classic division trap. The Broncos are a tough place to play, or tough team to play against, but it's in Kansas City, and I'm just like, Mahomes off a bye, you don't want to see him.
I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of like that spread though for the Broncos. That's a lot, 9.5.
That's just too many points in prime time.
There you go. Shout out. If you know, you know. I'm not even just if you know, you know. That's all I got to say about that.
I guess we'll go into Monday night because it is a more highly anticipated matchup. One, it's crazy that these two teams haven't even played each other yet this season. And two, this has not only big ramifications for division winner, but also the one seed in the AFC. Very likely will be one of these two teams.
Also wild card. Like, it's everything.
Yeah.
Everything is implicated. How many times can we use that word in a sentence? But this is my uniform matchup of the week. I like the similar. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Similar colors going against each other. I don't know.
I think it's one of your worst takes.
Fair enough. That's saying something, because I've had some bad ones. This slate of games is extremely underwhelming, but this game makes up for it.
It does. But the fact that we have to wait an extra day for it, it's a little.
Not a lot of great games on Sunday, but if the Monday nighter is good, we'll be forgiven. Week 13, you get a pass. Maybe we got to rank the weeks at the end of the year, right? Go back. We're going to do power rankings. I love the Patriots here. The Patriots are better. Eh? Love the Patriots.
I like the Patriots plus 2.5.
But you don't like them to win?
I mean, I'm starting to think this is a terrible strategy, and maybe it's not why I win my bets. I like to say, like, when I think the game's close, or when I think the game's going to be very close and it's a chance for the team that's not favored to win, I'll just take them against the spread. Like a couple weeks ago, I did that Browns versus Patriots. I think the Patriots were favored by 2.5. And I was like, you know what? I think it's going to be a close game. Why not just take the Browns? Because if it's a close game, it's up and
you get the point. Fair.
But I've never been winning when I say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, the Bills are like, you talk about the Chargers being hot and cold. Maybe the Bills either lose by $1 billion or win by $1 billion.
I read a stat actually about every time they've won, I think they've won by like 15 or 16 points at
Yeah.
least. And they've honestly really beaten up on a lot of bad teams. So,
So it's all
I don't know.
Patriots.
Everything I'm saying is like the Patriots win, but I just think like if the Patriots win this game, they have such a hold because now they have to play the Bills again, but in New England. And it's like
Yeah.
all the pressure's on Buffalo. To me, the pressure's already on Buffalo because they went into the season as the heavy favorite. I don't know. I think this is one of the games where I should just shut my mouth. I'm glad it's on Monday. I get an extra day to prepare for it. Who knows? Who knows what to expect?
I'll give you the biggest cliche. How many times do we hear this on TV Sunday, Monday before the game? On why the Patriots will win, they will say Bill Belichick will take away your best player. So Stephon Diggs is gone. He will take away your best player because no other coach actually does that.
To be fair, I think it's true that Bill actually does that. Has
It's
it been
true, but
overly used? Yes.
No,
I
but
probably
it's
said it myself on this very show.
It's used as a strategy that he uses. Like Belichick has this genius strategy where he goes, let's not let their best player do a lot of great things on the field. Like, it's like, oh, let's take away the best player. And like, he's the only coach that sits in the locker room and is like, let's stop Diggs. That's my problem.
You think other coaches just like, oh, you're saying every other coach tries to do that too?
Yes.
But the way it's painted.
Right. Is that it's like his strategy of like, well, Belichick takes away your best player and like nobody else tries to do that.
I like how broadcasts almost treat it like such a lock. Like probably as Josh Allen's trotting onto the field, the color commentator will be like, "Well, we know Belichick's going to cancel out Diggs, done." And it's just like that's it. We're moving on. We're not wasting any more time on that. It's such a given.
But where I was going with that is that will probably happen. So it's true. But the Bill, I mean, how many teams are worse at running the ball than the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, they've gotten to the point where their running backs, they're just making them inactive now. Like Zach Moss, inactive, benched. We don't need. And I honestly thought Zach Moss was their better running back, but obviously
Zach Moss, a fantasy sleeper this year, and he's just stayed asleep.
Yeah.
So it's all Patriots.
I'm sitting on the fence hard with this game, and I think that's where I'm at my best when I sit on the fence.
Well, you got first pick in the spread pick, so you better.
Do I have first pick this week?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do.
Yikes. I'm not prepared for the spread picks this week. Honestly, I like every week we do this. We go through all the game as I make a mental note. I really like that for the spread picks. This week, nothing.
So take your Dolphins.
I'm going to go with a safety blanket like I always do. Give me the Dolphins. I took them last week. This week, they're favored. Give me them at -4. Keep the win streak going.
All right. We'll keep it with our favorite team themes. I'll take the Lions +7. That's a lock. It's a lock.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry. There's no way.
All righty. I am going to take – I'm really tempted to go in one direction, but I might save it for my final pick. I think I'm going to put the ball in your court. I'm going to take the Chargers +3. I'm going to go with my strategy. Honestly, you've convinced me to do this.
What's the strategy?
I think it's going to be a close game. Why not take
okay. There you go. All right. I can't not take them after I crown them Super Bowl champions. So I'll take the 49ers -3.5 against the 3-7 Seahawks. Or 3-8, excuse me. My God.
Yeah.
Pretty good team.
Terrible record. I'll tell you the team I was thinking of just so we can backtrack next week and see that I should have taken them. I have really thought about those Bucks at -11 on the road, which is crazy. But I feel the Falcons are due for just like a terrible performance. But I'm going to take the Raiders 2.5 at home. I actually really like that spread.
Yeah. It's tough. The Raiders, you never know what you're going to get. But they played well on Thanksgiving. So
yeah, long week. Washington's on a short week. Come on.
Yeah. And then my final spread pick, or before the over-under, Belichick, the Pats, give me that +2.5. He's going to take away their best option. He's a great coach.
Fair enough. This is the easiest over/under. I haven't even looked at. Okay, I just see what it is now. But I want it either way. I want the under. The Eagles against the Jets. It's 45. I want the under.
I like that pick. Like, even if the Eagles put up points, the
Eagles have a very underrated defense, I believe.
Yeah.
So. And I think they're just going to run the ball all game long. chew the clock. Zach Wilson maybe throws a couple picks, and I don't know. I like that game to stay low scoring.
All right. What's the over-under that I like? I don't really. There's not one that
There
jumps.
was chatter about the 50 that you liked. Was it the Bengals and Chargers?
Yeah, the Bengals and Chargers, but I feel like everyone's going to be betting that over. That's like just like
Fading the public.
easy money. So you just fade the public.
Take the under then.
Oh, can't do that. Nothing's jumping out at me. I'm on the clock here.
You know what? I succeeded last week, and I thought it was the dumbest pick ever. I got the over in Miami and Carolina, and it was 42.5, and Miami scored 33 points to clutch that for me. So
maybe I take the over of 40 in the Dolphins.
It's only 40 points. Like, Miami's rolling right now.
You know what? Give me the over in the. I literally was going to say it. Okay, I'm just sticking with my pick then. Chargers and Bengals over. I hate it. Whatever.
He hates it.
I hate the pick. I can't stand it.
So you were what, 2-2 last week?
Yeah.
I was
by the time this comes out, Taysom Hill will have thrown. He went 28 of 32 for 375, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. Saints win by 40.
We're gonna tell Paolo to make a rough cut. Just the moment you make your final pick, right to black, because I don't want anyone to hear what you just said. Trying to pull out some crystal ball for some Thursday night football prediction.
The Cowboys win tonight, eh?
Sure, they win.
The game's already happened, so I don't even know. Who knows?
That's gonna do it all for today's episode. If you made it to the end, thank you for doing so once again. We hope week 13 is a fantastic one, and we'll see you next week. Make sure to like and subscribe.
And enjoy. I was going to say the snow games. I don't know if there's going to be a snow game this week, but
New England's supposed to snow Monday night.
What's in Buffalo?
Weather update. Sorry, Buffalo's supposed to snow Monday night. Weather update.
What a game this is going to be. Don't even watch Sunday. Save your football for Monday. That's it.
All right. See you next week, guys.
See you next week.